Okay, Douglas, can you tell us just a little bit about how your amazing invention works and what it does?
Well, it's a flat-pack wind turbine, which means it's modular and it goes up in sections without tools. And so it fits in a standard UK pallet, and that means it can be deployed to rural areas, such as refugee shelters and disaster zones.
Okay, and how does it work? Does it literally is it just wind power that drives it?
Yeah, it just uses wind power to turn the turbine, and that generates energy which can be used for other things.
Okay, and it could be used. You mentioned refugee centres and the like.
Yeah,
Any other areas you could think of?
Well, I started. I watched a documentary about the IKEA refugee shelters, which are flat pack, and then I thought maybe I could do this to sort of tie in with it. And then I also thought there would be other applications like disaster zones and rural areas that struggle to get energy.
Okay, and what sort of power does it come from? It could it run a radio, or what sort of things could it run?
Well, it can. This one can charge up a phone.
Just wondered, could you tell me a little bit about why Caledonian University has got involved in this amazing project, primary engineer and secondary engineer project?
Yeah, I guess I met Susan Skurlock several years ago and was inspired by the idea of getting more young children into engineering, and this seemed like a great way to do it. So I've been going out and visiting schools on a regular basis, once or twice a year. There's also the opportunity to live stream to schools to get a wider coverage as well. So that's a really good way of getting kind of personal contact with the school students to understand what engineering is all about from an engineer's perspective.
And do you find that there is currently a problem, an issue with recruiting young engineers, or are there quite a number signing up to come to university?
I think over the years it's maybe declining slightly, but it depends from year to year on the type of engineering that seems popular at the moment and these sorts of things. But in general, I think engineering is a really good career, and more people could come. We're always short of engineers, generally.
Hi, Macy. Can you just tell me a little bit about your invention? What does your invention do?
It sucks water up from the well.
Wow, that's fantastic. And who would use your invention?
The people in Kenya who don't have any water.
Wow, that's really clever. And how does it work? Because it looks just like a bicycle to me.
People can cycle backwards, and it sucks water up from the ground so they can drink it.
Wow, amazing. And what gave you the idea for this? It's so clever. What gave you the idea for such a clever invention?
I went to a science museum in Copenhagen where you pedalled on a bike and it made electricity.
The primary engineer is just such an amazing scheme, and Kingston's got a long history of working with young people to inspire them in STEM. So being able to work with fabulous young engineers like Maisie, who see a real problem and come up with a fabulous solution that my engineering students can actually then turn into reality, has just been an amazing experience for all of us.
Part of the Scottish Engineering Leaders Award, I designed the electric car charging lamppost. This combines a traditional LED lamppost with 480 volt electric car charging point, which can charge the average EV battery to 80% in only half an hour. The electric car charging lamppost would allow those without a driveway and have to park in the street to charge their electric vehicle, and would generally make electric vehicles more popular. This is vital in ensuring the public make the change to these climate-saving machines and reducing the 68% of global greenhouse gases that are caused by petrol and diesel cars.
Hello everyone, we are Group Change. Why change? Change is needed. During our Stacks Walls research, we found that we were always drawing the same conclusion. To reduce our carbon footprint, we needed to change. Change the way that we, our peers and our families currently act towards our environment. So, what should we change?
Standby for change. From our research into household energy consumption, we found that over 90% of our families had lots of devices left on standby and plugged in all the time, like mobile phone chargers, TVs and set-top boxes, computers, laptops and game consoles. We also discovered that these electronic devices are still using electricity even when they're in standby mode, and therefore are producing needless carbon waste.
Which device do you think uses the most energy on standby? No, it's not the TV. Believe it or not, it's your games console. We found that our games consoles in standby are still working. They're constantly checking for and downloading updates, so turn them off at the plug or ensure they are set on energy saving mode.
Change is good. How do you contribute the most to carbon emissions? You're probably thinking either cars and transport or household energy, but you'd be wrong. Believe it or not, the biggest contributor globally to carbon emissions is food. We discovered incredibly that eating only 100 grams of steak is the equivalent to nearly 30 minutes of driving an average sized family car. Furthermore, individually, our diets are on average causing 6,000 grams of greenhouse gases each day.
So, what can we do? A study in 2019 by the British Committee of Climate Change suggested by simply reducing our meat consumption by 20% and reducing food waste by 20%, then together we could save the equivalent of 7 million tonnes of carbon emissions from farms. Get swapping.
Change thinking. If you'd said transport, then you were also correct. Globally, transport accounts for a quarter of all greenhouse gases, but within the UK, transport remains the largest source of carbon emissions, accounting for around 34% in 2019. So like food, we all need to start making swaps. We are quite lucky in our school in that most of us live a few streets of school, and 59% of us walk every day. However, we discovered that in the UK, 66% of all journeys are under 5 miles, which could be easily cycled in around 25 minutes. Let's swap. Furthermore, by cycling, our mental and physical well-being will be much improved.
We kept a data set on things we did or ate and used during the day, and we used it for a whole week.
Our chart recorded different things like water, transport, food and electricity. As a group, our biggest production was food and transport.
We were going to try and halve our food and transport production.
According to scientists, orangutans will be extinct in 5 years, and in 10 years, cocoa trees will be extinct too.
We found out that if we help our CO2 production levels, it would make a big difference.
Reduce the production of CO2 to help stop climate change.
We are going to try and stop climate change. If we do this, we will save humanity. We are hoping you can help too.
My parents' house is nearly 200 years old, and when I was growing up we suffered regular power cuts every winter. So from a young age I was very interested in becoming self-sustainable and not having to rely on somebody else to come and turn the power back on for us. Self-sustainability is very important for the future. We're using more and more electricity, so the more people that can be self-sustainable, the less of a strain that is on our electric network. Renewable energy is so important because it's the only way we can fill that gap as fossil fuels begin to diminish. I work for the Offshore Renewable Energy Catapult. We're at the forefront of innovation of offshore renewables. The exciting thing about renewable energies is the industry is still fairly new, so there's infinite possibilities within renewables alone. I've been working on some tidal energy development projects. It's never been done before to this scale. The research and the innovation and the creativity required to complete these projects is just so exciting. When you're working on a problem and you finally come up with a solution, it's just so exciting and it's just a huge sense of achievement and pride. Engineering to me is just the exploration of infinite possibilities. It's through engineering that we solve the world's problems. I want to achieve a sustainable future for our planet and the people living on it. Renewable energy will become the backbone of the UK's energy mix in the future, and I am so excited to be a part of that future.